Right, today I'm going to do an Italian classic. I'm going to change it up a little bit, needs must. It's called Tagliata alla olio e peperoncino. So basically it's steak with infused liquid oils with peppers, onions, etc. I don't have sirloin steak, so I'm going to be changing it up a little bit. Normally serve with salad. I'm going to change it up a little bit, so I'm going to do my variation of it. So let me show you the ingredients. So normally this recipe uses sirloin steak. I've got 4 ribeyes there, so I'll be using that. I'll be trimming off some of that excess fat there. That'll be quite nice. Thinly sliced garlic. I've got strips of onion, nice and thin. I've got julienne of pepper here, very nice. I'm going to add tomato to it. I like tomato in there. That's going to go in last minute. Normally I'd use fresh rosemary. I don't have a rosemary bush. I don't have fresh rosemary. So use some dried thyme. I found this Italian garlic spice. I don't know what it's going to taste like. I'll just chuck it in. I'm going to use a lot of olive oil. You want a decent olive oil for this. And then I'm normally use like a rocket salad in the middle that's been seasoned with balsamic and olive oil, etc. Today I'm going to go with a bit of pasta, just make it a bit more hearty. And that's it. So let's get cracking. Right, so I've got my water on here. It's got salt in there. That's ready for my pasta. I'm going to cook and refresh it and then reheat in the sauce later. Got my pan on here. That's getting nice and hot. I wanted it to be proper searing heat. So I want to brown the meat properly, so get a nice bit of oil in there. Don't be shy, because I'm going to be using this pan for the sauce as well, and we use a lot of oil today. Okay, so while that's going, coming over to my steak over here. Just get a light seasoning with salt and pepper. And all I'm going to do today is just seal it off, and then I'll be slicing it later while it's resting. Okay, so back to my pan. I'll make sure my oil is really hot. With meat and chicken, fish, etc., if you're cooking in cold oil, A, it's going to soak up the fat and make the dish oily, but B, it's also going to boil the meat, which is going to make it really tough. So I'm looking for a little bit of smoke, I'm looking for separation of oil, I'm looking for it to run like water. So let's turn it up just a little bit more. So I don't know if you can see on the video, you can see it's starting to look like it's separating. So this will smoke a little bit, but the cooking process is really quick. Okay, just a touch small. Okay, so I'm going to seal the meat off now. That's a good noise, you want to hear that? I want a good bit of caramelization going on, the Maillard effect. And I'm going to seal the meat off all the way around. This should like shrink up a bit, technically speaking, of course. Okay, only takes a few seconds. Make sure it's not sticking, make sure there's enough oil underneath it. So like I said, this is a classic Italian dish from North Italy. Tagliata would be the meat. And then aglio is the olive oil. There's the garlic. Olio is the olive oil. And peperoncino would be the chilies. Now, like I said, my family don't like spicy food, so I'm going to go with peppers. There's still a hint of chili to it, just to add a bit of heat. I'll make mine spicier later. Okay, so now, like I said, normally you would use sirloin steak because you don't want a lot of fat in this dish, but it needs must. Like I said, I don't have sirloin steak, so we're using ribeye. Okay, so turn it over a bit. You're only going to cook this to about just under rare. You don't want to take it past there, because when you cut it later and you add it to your dish, it's going to overcook. So you still want it to be no more than medium rare, maybe medium. and that steak will be really soft and juicy. So spread the oil around, share the love. And that's beautifully sealed off, and I'll get to the next phase in a minute. So I've got a bit of this chili spice seasoning here. I'm going to add some of that here as well. This has been ticking over at a very low heat for about 10 minutes now. Just give it a little bit of heat, but nothing major. But as I mix this in, that's just going to add just a slight bite. It's really not that spicy. You see the onions and stuff, and the peppers and the garlic is now all softening. That's now actually cooked, but I want to take it all the way down. It's going to start releasing some of the sugars, and that's going to balance out the heat from the pepper. Looking at my water over here, I'm now coming up to a boil. Now, a general recipe, if you're going to weigh out your pasta, is about 75 grams per portion. So that's not quite there. So a little bit more. Remember, this is quite a big dish. And all I'm going to do is with my spoon, I'm just going to help it in there. Do not leave it in there. If you leave it in there, you're wasting your time, because half it's cooking and half it's not cooking. The other thing that I always tell people when I'm teaching them to make pasta is do not put oil in the pan. It's an absolute myth. The Italians don't do that. The most logical answer I can give is oil and water separate. The oil rests on the top. It's doing nothing to your pasta. It does not stop it from sticking during the cooking process. What stops it from sticking is the occasional moving it around. Give it just a little bit of a stir and make sure it's all in the water. Okay, now normally when I cook pasta, I'll cook it for about 6 to 7 minutes and then finish it in the sauce. Today I'm not doing that. I'm going to add the pasta to the sauce quite early, and then I'll be finishing the dish off. So I'm going to just start cutting the meat. As you can see, that's just really, really soft. But this fat in the middle I also don't want. So I'm just going to take that off. Lose the excess fat. Normally I say don't, but in this case I'm just going to cut that in half. Just butterfly that. See, that's still really, really undercooked. That's what I'm after. Let's lose some of that fat. This I'll give to the dogs. They'll thank me for that. Now, when cutting steak, always cut against the grain. Just lose some of that gristle. I definitely don't want that. I'm going to cut it fairly thick. So that's about 1/2 centimeter thick. I'm going to cut some a little bit thinner as well, because my wife likes a little bit more cooked than what I do. So some will cook a little bit more and some will cook a little bit less based on the thickness. Okay, so I've just checked the pasta. It's about 3/4 cooked. I've probably got about 3 minutes left on that. Looking into my pan here, if you notice this piece of garlic there, you'll see it's nice and golden. So I'm going to add the tomatoes now. I don't want these to be very cooked. I just want them to just start mixing. So I'm actually going to swap these two pans around. Just turn the heat down a bit, just so I've got space to toss it. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just heat the tomato slightly. I'm going to add the pasta to that, serve that, and then the meat's going to cook literally in about 2 minutes in a high heat. So while that's going, it's a bit of black pepper, just a little bit of salt. Remember, there is salt on the steak, so don't go wild, and there's salt in the pasta water as well. Now, as all this has been sitting in this oil, it's been infusing in flavour. So this oil now is going to have so much flavour, and then the pasta is going to soak up that. The tomatoes I'm really just blistering. There's nothing more there. This type of dish you do not need Parmesan cheese. People put Parmesan cheese in too many dishes. This doesn't need it. I'm just going to stir that a bit. When I take this out, whatever oil's left over will then flavour the meat as well and become a nicely finished dish. So looking at my pasta, That's looking almost ready. Anyway, it was cooked. Okay, so one more little toss. I'm going to drain my pasta. Okay, so I'm going to add my pasta. This is now perfectly cooked. And I've kept a little bit of pasta water. Get that in there as well. And that together is going to start infusing flavours. Now this is not that dissimilar to many different basic Italian pastas. If I were to add Parmesan cheese, this would be a great time to add it. Look at that. Now this is actually more than what 4 people need. Because of all the onions, garlic, tomatoes, pepper, etc. That's now bulked it out a lot. So for a dish like this, because you're having steak with it as well, I'd say you probably only need about 50 grams maximum of pasta per portion. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just about serve this up. Obviously I'm just going to taste it first and make sure it is well flavoured. You notice there's not a lot of oil in the pan, because that's all started pulling into the pasta as well. So make sure the seasoning is correct. So again, only way to taste. Pretty good. Touch more salt, of course. You know me that well. A little bit of pepper. Come over this side and start serving this. Got a nice oval plate here. I'm try to keep it in the center. A lot of the tomato stuff, that's going to end up on the top. That's perfectly fine. Make sure nothing sticks. And I'll tidy this up while the steak's cooking. Pan back on the heat so it can start heating up. While the steak is heating, the plate's heating up. Start tidying this up a bit, make it a little bit sexier, a little bit neater. Get a nice big cloth. Presentation is key always, so just give it a nice little clean. I actually like some chopped parsley to finish this off, but that's not an option today. The local shops where I'm shopping is actually not very good with fresh herbs at the moment. Just get some of those tomatoes on top there. Again, just cleanse that. Okay, my pan is now nice and hot. I don't really need oil in there, so there's enough oil in there. I don't add any grease now. And meat straight in. Now normally you only do one portion of this, but I'm doing 4 portions, so obviously it's a much more. Touch more salt and pepper for the centers. Okay. And that's now going to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. Turn them all around. For this type of dish, within 2 or 3 minutes, that pasta is going to start cooling down. So You've got to be pretty quick, otherwise obviously you're going to have cold pasta. That's it. 2 of us like our steaks rare, 1 medium rare and 1 medium to medium well. So those thin pieces there is obviously going to be very well cooked, and that fat piece there is going to be less cooked. And so that's why everyone gets a bit of what they after. Okay. That's almost there. Technically speaking, you can heat this up separate, but there's flavour in that pan I'm trying to extract. Okay, and that's pretty much done. So coming over to my pasta now. Start on the sides. That way you can dish from the side and then pasta from the centre. I tell you what, this smells absolutely amazing. That's it. These 4 steaks easily makes enough for at least 6 people. As you can see, it's a massive dish here. We won't eat all of this today. Some of it's going to stay over till tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. Put a little bit more on the side there. It's part of the garnish. Maybe the dish needs a little bit bigger. So there we go. We have tagliata all'olio e peperoncino.